your Braves jersey on too, man. I love
Yeah,
it.
how you doing? I love the glasses.
Thank you, man.
What's up,
Thank you, man. Good to see you.
And you always got the best shoes.
These are my favorites, man. Like the shiny patent leather on them and everything. These are my favorites.
Those are
Dude, I
nice.
love these ones. So.
So we go in the back. They have nice little. Where are you taking me?
This is awesome.
You want to take me somewhere cool?
That's awesome.
How you guys doing? Now, you know we're on the episode of Roofers Gotta Eat, so just reintroducing the man, the myth, the legend himself, Hall of Famer, John the Roof Pro Scenic. At the end of the day, you're like a rock star.
Sure.
As far as for the roof industry, like the roofing, I don't want to say Beyonce, you know, but you like the roofing's Jay-Z, I'd say, you know?
Perfect. I'll take that.
Yeah, you know? So at the end of the day, well, as far as for music, who you say is rock stars?
Oh man. So I'm
You know, I'm a music guy.
Yeah, diehard Dave Matthews fan.
Okay.
You know, I'm 41, almost 42 years old right now. Diehard Dave Matthews fan. I've seen that band more than anybody else. I still think that what Dr. Dre puts out are some of the best beats, as far as like beats that I want to hear and listen to.
Some water. You want to take a look at the drink?
What you want?
Ooh, I would love an Eagle Rare. It sounds delicious.
Hey, there you go.
Just neat on a large rod.
Neat's perfectly fine with me.
Fine, awesome.
Yep.
You want to try our select barrel?
Yes, that sounds like a good one.
And I get an old fashioned.
Old fashioned?
Yep.
Eagle Rare
Love
as well?
it.
Or you want to think for
I'll try that too.
You good? Awesome.
So, and then I played guitar, so I was a big fan of the bands that were popular in that 90s and 2000. Foo Fighters, a big one for me. So I still like my Dave Grohl and my Foo Fighters music laid in there. So I can kind of move all over the radar when it comes to music. It really depends on time of day and mood. You may find me listening to classical or opera in the morning when I just want quiet. You may find me listening to some hip hop and pop just because I want that beat and I'm just trying to get in rhythm and mode. You may find me listening to something all acoustic music just because I'm done with my day and trying to mellow back down. So I love music.
If roofing had a theme song, what'd you say that would be?
Oh man, that's a challenging question. I may need a minute to think of that one. Selfishly, I redid one called Roofer's Paradise, and I think you can probably figure out the parody of that one.
Yeah.
It's not been produced yet. It will be produced.
That'd be on the remix.
That would be that'd be a good way to summarize it. Roofer's Paradise.
I like that.
It has its ups and downs, but look, if you treat it like a paradise, it talks back to you. It can be good to you too. Man, that's a tough one. What's your answer? Do you have an answer to that question? I'm kind of curious if you have one like locked in already. That you're like, it's got to be this one.
Well, I'm gonna be selfish as well. You know?
Your song, yeah, okay.
I gotta say every single day. You know, say every single day. I feel like, you know, that gets usually people hyped up.
Yeah.
And you know, it's all about roofing. You know.
That's you're right. You got a good message in there. Obviously, hits the shingle button for me. A shingle guy.
Exactly.
And it's got a good beat to it. All right, I can't argue with him on that one. That's a good hit. That's a good way to play on this. I'm gonna let that one simmer though. If something else comes to mind, I'm gonna throw it out.
No,
there,
I like Roofer's Paradise. I just gotta be featured on it.
You gotta be featured on it. All right. Well, yeah, you gotta have cameos from other artists in those things.
All the time.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea at all.
Yep,
I'll come down here. We'll bring my guy and we'll just produce it together. That'd be fun.
I got the studio and everything.
Oh, if you're in the studio, I don't need to bring it.
Yeah, we make it easy. Yeah, you don't bring anything. Just bring your lyrics, bring yourself, and that's it.
All right, yeah. Now we're talking.
That'll be fun.
We got something lined up from today already. That's perfect.
You go to a Braves game, then you come to the studio.
Yeah, all right. That'll work. That'll get you to a Braves game then, since apparently you don't go to enough of them.
Give me a reason to wear the jersey. What it seems like is you're an extremist.
Yeah.
It seems like once you like something, you really like dig into it. And
100%.
Okay.
We're already talking about two things: shingles, which I have well more than 300 shingles in my collection. That's for sure. And bourbons. I like bourbons. I was well into that. When I started playing guitars, at one point I collected guitars. I had to sell those off. You get married, start having kids. Jordans. Once I got into those, we started running. Yeah. So it's fair to say, if you introduce me to something and I like it, I'm probably gonna really like it and take it to the next level. So
Sounds good. Sounds good.
I know my weakness.
All right, so this is Rufus Gotta Eat. We got the beats and odds, which is kind of slightly different, where it's not like, say, like wings or something like that, but we're going to dig in, literally and figuratively.
Nice. Beets are good for you, man. Beets are really good for you. Looks like it's got arugula, feta, olives.
Oh, I got right. Perfect, perfect. Let me try some of this, see what they got going on. So
I'm not going to say that I have the best table manners, okay? And my mom will probably tell you that of the family, I had the worst table manners. So I apologize in advance if this gets a little. You see, I already lost an olive there.
Hey, you're doing
Get that
fine.
back in. We recovered the olive.
That's
I was a
great
messy
Rufus
eater.
fashion right there.
Right? I was a messy eater as a kid. Olives are warm and delicious. Man, I thought they'd be chilled. That was fantastic.
Let's try this out. Yeah, you're right. Especially the warmness.
Beets, feta, really good overall flavor.
There we go.
I would say this was a healthy start to this session.
And Roofers is one of the most dangerous as far as in the industry, so we got to eat at least healthy.
It's funny because another really dangerous industry is kitchen work, chefs.
Really?
Yep, burns, sharp objects, things like that. Obviously not the risk of falling that roofers go through. But when you're in the roofing industry, you find yourself kind of running nonstop. So there was a lot of my start of my career where it was just so easy to stop in and grab something from a gas station,
Yep.
pull in a fast food place, that habit of just picking up that food and not paying attention to what you're eating and how health conscious you are. Got a little out of control of me for a while, and I kind of had to reel that back in and pay more attention to not eating sloppy all the time. But whereas if you're the roof installer, like the actual person installing, you don't want anything in you. You need just enough to get through the day. You take a break, you get enough fuel to keep you going, but sitting up on that hot roof all day, when I did repairs, installations, things like that, I just had to stay hydrated. Enough nourishment to keep me going, but man, I did not want anything in my stomach throughout the day until I got that roof all wrapped up.
How long did you actually install for?
I worked with crews on and off heavily in the first 6 years that I was in this, and then that really wound down to just periodically, time to time, repairs, detail work, specialty work, maybe a system I hadn't worked on before. So I went out and hand drove shakes with a crew one time and installed cedar shakes just to deeply understand really what it meant to hand drive an entire cedar shake roof. I did it twice actually. Hand drove an entire cedar shake roof with crews.
That's impressive.
Just so I could learn that system. I think you already know that. I geek out about the details, so I can read the books, I can read the manuals, I can read the specifications.
You got to do it yourself.
Best thing for me is hands-on.
Yep.
I want to touch it, feel it, experience it, know what they go through, know what it takes to do that work. That's fair.
So, how do you feel as far as for what you're doing for roofing culture and how you're adding an impact?
That's really interesting. When this all started, I knew that I wanted some aspects of the industry to change. I didn't know what all that was going to look like. And I think that we've added value, we've added some challenges, both. Every cause has an effect in there. And NTS created a report system that was new, unique. We introduced something when there was a monopoly in the market, that there was only one other reporting agency. So that brought value. It also brought challenges. There's friction.
Yeah.
There's certain agencies and organizations that don't like it.
Of course.
Claim they don't accept it, which isn't true. And on the side, when I started coaching, mentoring, training, and working with roofing companies, I didn't realize how many people would look up to me. And I don't say that arrogantly by any stretch of the imagination. It's humbling. Because I have people that have been in the industry 20 years, I was just with a group, and they got a guy that's been in the industry 3 months, and they've asked me questions from, what advice would you give a new person to, man, you've refreshed my joy in this industry, my belief in this industry, and it's, if I've made an impact on somebody's life for the better, you know, it's changed what they've done, it's changed how they provide customer service, and ultimately affects their homeowners experience as well. That's awesome. Like, that's a really good feeling inside. And I didn't see that. I didn't anticipate that when we built NTS, when the Facebook group was just up and running. I didn't know that was going to happen, but I'm so thankful it did. Now, cause and effect for me comes a lot of demand, and I'm grateful for it, you know? I didn't know there'd be so much outreach. It's a lot to keep up with, but I'm grateful for it, man. It's making a difference for people, and I'm just humbled that I can make a difference for people in this industry, or any industry for that matter, but I'm humbled that I could do that.
No, I like that. Okay. Now, as far as with the NCS, so name that shingle. First, how long has it been around?
This date gets confusing. We really got heavy with the group beginning of 2021. Then
So
we started
When you say group,
the Facebook
meaning-
group. Yeah, to name that shingle Facebook
That's where
group,
it
right?
started.
And we teased it in 2020, kind of leading into it and all. And then we started outreaching to everybody that was in the group. And we were like, hey, we'd love to do a report for you. And they were actually sending those shingles to my home, because I had all the data and everything. We were getting our lab set up and everything in Texas. They were sending these to my home, and I was sitting there analyzing these shingles, documenting, taking pictures, and then writing reports and getting these reports turned right back around.
It's really good flavor on them.
It's actually
Yeah,
really good.
that's delicious. Like, that was very, very good. So
starter as well.
yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
yep.
Healthy starter, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, healthy starter in there. So
Usually that or the chicharrones.
Okay.
no, that was
Let's try that
good.
next.
That was good.
I,
You guys ready to take over?
yeah, we ready. Let's do it.
Ooh. I'm gonna do the Reuben. And to be clear, you're saying pickled jalapenos, or it's a pickle that is?
No, it's pickled jalapenos. Like the jalapenos have been pickled.
All right, I'll do the kosher. I'm not gonna go too crazy.
Oh, you guys go in.
You got dipping sauces galore.
It's gonna be like house-made aiolis. Honey mustard is really good as well.
Ooh, that horseradish one.
You want to do some horseradish
Yep.
aioli?
Yeah, let's try that.
Love me some horseradish. A little spice to it.
Let's try it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
There I was at home writing these NTS reports, sending them out to people. And we started to see the early effects of that. And I think there was this newness and unfamiliarness with that report that it just started so easy. I don't, like, it started easy. It wasn't easy for us, but they were very digestible for consumers, and they were very accepted across the board to start. Because it was just this new thing, and you know, there wasn't a whole lot of data for people like, wait, how, is this, what's going on here? Is this legit? Where's this from? So we saw a lot of acceptance, which then kind of took the curve it was on and just went shoot like this and took off. And then as we started to see more and more in samples, we opened it up to full service in November of 2021, where you can actually order it on the website and send it to the actual lab.
So that's when the actual
true
website-
date, November 2021, man.
Love that. Okay. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Nice. Now, talk about that transition from having an idea, think about something, hey, this is not around, falling in love with something, you discontinue shingles, figuring out that, like, there's a loophole, so to speak, that people don't know about, and then actually make it come to fruition. Was there any, like, times where it felt like this might not work, or we shouldn't maybe actually do it fully, or?
Yeah, so there's a lot of good little lessons and thoughts in there too. So, but the idea existed, and it took someone to spark that out of me, because I had the idea and I just didn't have the ability. Like, I couldn't think of how to put together the pieces. So it took a couple of meetings and business partners to really put all that together. And then someone had the financial resources and the location. Someone had the operational mind to kind of look at these pieces together. And I mean, we literally just sat in front of a whiteboard and whiteboarded out, like, what is this going to look like, and what are the challenges we're going to face, and and we were already writing reports at this time, right? But it was, how do we actually really, this is real, like, we now have to do this, like, it exists, like, so
There's a demand for it.
Yeah, it took, I think, those things to go from idea to reality you got to get the idea moving. Like step 1 is do something, step 2 is do something better. Yeah. So we did step 1, which was something. Then we collectively did something better, and that took more talent than I had. That took other people in that room to put that together.
Okay, so question. So now that we know, so there's other people that's involved with NTS as a team. So you're Michael Jordan, but there's a Scottie Pippen, somewhere there's a Dennis Rodman.
100%.
Who are those people? Give them a shot.
Absolutely. So TJ Ware.
Okay.
Public adjuster out of Texas.
Yeah,
and then Brian Larita, which knows nothing about the roofing industry, which ended up being the most valuable partner we have, because having the perspective of somebody that's not in the industry, we kind of live in our own little world.
Yeah.
We'd like to think we think outside the box, but we're in the box. So we really can only think outside of it, and that's it. He's not in the box. So the stuff that Brian brought to the table was wild, because it was consumer view, it was outside the roofing space, and then he brought talent to the team that we didn't realize we needed, and that was incredibly helpful. So that's our ownership pool as it stands, and then we knew people that were part of other companies that came in and gave us input and advice too. Good people to get that going, but it takes a team. There are people out there that open a business, bootstrapped it, run it all themselves, and then later they find the talent and the team and the people. Later they advance it. We were very fortunate that we had really good talent quickly to make that happen. Now the flip side, the other part of that you said in there, the challenges of do we go on? Is this worth it? Is this worth pursuing? I got those questions from my wife, and to be clear, very pleasantly, not doubtful. Like she really wanted to know, like, are we doing the right thing? Like, is this going to be good? Is this worth it? And I think it's hard for someone on the outside to love it the way that someone on the inside could love it. And the only caution I would give anybody, this industry or not, is just love what you do. Okay. You may only do it for 3 months, you may do it for 6 months, you may do it for a year, you may do it for your lifetime. But you have to love what you do, because there's this weak mindset that one day I'll find what I love. And people live in that for the longest time frame. The whole idea of like, one day I'll find what I love. One day I'll find what I love. If you love what you do, and you eventually find out it's not for you, you get to exit clean. You're like, I gave it everything. I gave it my 100% try, and it didn't love me back. I'm out. Like, this wasn't for me. Like, so that could have gone that way. I could be like, shingles aren't for me.
100%.
But I love shingles that much, like an extremist. Like, I was all in on shingles. It turns out I'm still all in on shingles, but I gave it everything, and I continue to give it everything. And I truly believe, and I cannot reiterate this enough, like Brian, that operational mind outside of the industry, he gave it everything. Like, convincing somebody outside of the roofing space that there'd be a business that analyzes shingles and writes reports, and this guy, he applied that same mentality of like, okay, then I'm gonna love this. Like, I'm gonna put what I need to into this to make this work, and now it loves him back, and he sees that. That's awesome.
I love that. Yeah. So teamwork makes the dream work. You go fast by yourself, but you go far with the team, right?
100%.
Okay, now as far as for tell us about like little obstacles, like where you're dealing with, you have something that's brand new, so it's something new to the industry. People they're not sure what's going on yet. They're like, hold on, what's going on? They're trying to figure it out. And then of course you have the opposition, because some people are not gonna like that, right? You get things approved, somebody has to pay for it, right?
Yep.
How do you feel about those obstacles when you feel now like you have some kind of opposition? How does that feel? Getting over, overcoming those kind of things and having people to accept reports and. So
NTS, it's no secret for those that are in the space. The big 800-pound gorilla that does the identifications. Then there's little old NTS. Mm-hmm. So the insurance is very connected to that big company. So they like to say that our reports aren't acceptable. They even like to kind of try and discredit them. Mm-hmm. We've seen comments like, oh, this is just a bunch of contractors. And look, put just in front of anything you're going to say me. If you describe me as just anytime, challenge accepted, okay? Don't just me. But they've said things like that. And all I can say is it forces me to stay fresh. It forces me to constantly try. I could have created this business and just let it coast. But no, those exterior forces that put pressure on a business, you have to respond to those forces. Those forces can cause you to collapse, fold, give up, or rise to the occasion. You go back to sports analogies, man. I'm no secret with the shoes. I'm a big Michael Jordan fan. When he started getting more and more exterior force throughout his career, challenges, right? That next level of pressure, the next level of pressure, he just kept rising out of occasion, rising out of occasion. Like, and I'm not saying I'm any Michael Jordan, but I think if you learn how to respond to those exterior forces and embrace them instead of being like, why is this happening to me? And change your mindset that this is happening for me to make my people better, for me to get better, for me to grow the company, for me to hire people, for me to create new jobs, instead of this is happening to me and woe is me. That's the mindset that we apply to every challenge we face in NTS, is this is happening for us. And we're going to come out on the other side of this with a new system, a new process, a new service, a better approach to those things. So I appreciate those outside forces, man.
I love that, I love that. So at the end of the day, that's the mindset that you have to have as a Hall of Famer. So for people that's looking to be a future Hall of Famer, it's all about the mindset.
I would agree. There's a difference between that MVP, that Hall of Famer, and the day-to-day person. There really is.
Okay. Now, as far as for discontinued shingles, again, since you're the expert in discontinued shingles, which one would you feel like if you were going to bring back to market? Would there be any shingle that you would bring back?
Yep. I would say the elk capstone, but I'd say that IKO did a pretty good rendition of that in the Royal State. Very close. Like the look and the shape, kind of the staggered, broken slate look that they accomplished in that design. That one was nicely done. And I think that the other two shingles I'd like to see on the market, we'll do a designer, we'll do a laminate. Silatex, which was bought by Presidential. They made the dimensional shake and the ambassador shake, and they had a reverse taper to them. So the angle on the tooth was different than anything else on the market. It created a unique shake look. I love that look. So I'd like to see that back. I actually have products in my lab that are over 30 years old. They were 30-year products, and they lasted more than 30 years. It's actually a very durable shingle, too. That was really cool. And the other one that I think would be unique to see come back, probably the GAF Country, or the GAF Country Mansion. It looks very similar to Certainty's Carriage House, but that was a thick, heavy shingle. I mean, it kind of had that cottage tile look to it. And again, comparable to today, it's very close to Certainty's Carriage House. But that was a unique shingle, nothing else like it. Very pretty, very elegant. But man, was it heavy.
So is the first one more because of like aesthetically pleasing, and the second one durability? Can you see how heavy it was?
Yeah, both. Okay. Well, the first one, the Silatex shape, would be for two reasons. It had a unique aesthetic, and it was a very durable laminate shingle. The fact that NTS has received so many of those samples that are, because that got bought in 1999. So that means if we're getting that sample's instantly 25 plus years old. How many shingles do you see make it to year 30? You know, like a lot of them get affected with weather events and things like that happen. So the fact that we've seen these shingles, and I'm holding it like, this thing's from 1997 and it looks like it's 5 years old. I've got a lot of those Silatex shingles. I'm just impressed with how well it's held up. So that one's a durability and a unique look. The Carriage House, just pure, raw, thickness, just badass, indestructible, like wild how durable that shingle was, and it happened to be a design. Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Now, as far as for, say like on the job, right? So we're on the job right now. You're the professional, so sometimes you probably call you on jobs where you're coming behind another contractor.
Yep, that does happen for me.
Okay, so tell us a story where the craziest job that you're coming behind another contractor that you've seen.
Man, there's a lot of crazy ones. I'm going to tell you probably what I think was to me the most heart-filling story was I had a lady call me, and she was widowed, living in this house by herself, not quite retired, but near retirement age. And I asked her how she gets my number, talk to her, I go out and I visit the site. The story is she's had a roof put on, she's worried the contractor did it wrong, and that there's still a few things that they promised they would do that they didn't follow through with. I look at this, and she's like, there was some stuff on the ground, but she's like, I don't think they tore the roof off all the way. And so I comb through it. In short,
this had an incredible amount of problems. They didn't tear off all the roof. It was 2 layers. So when they started tearing it off, they just kind of left what they left, most of the second layer. Put paper over it. Put ice and water shield in some spaces, not in some spaces, which is not really supposed to be stuck to shingles anyway. The butt edges of shingles were like 1/2 inch to 1/4 inch apart in some places, like not even touching. The exposure was under and overexposed in some areas. There were several exposed nails that I could see in the shingles.
Everything was off.
The flashings weren't redone, but some of the flashings were pried up. The downspouts weren't pre-connected. There was decking spots that I could feel. I was like, man, if they worked on this, so we got in the attic, there was broken deck boards that weren't replaced because they didn't tear it off. So they really didn't, they didn't know. Like, I get that. You didn't know there was broken deck boards there. So she hired me because she wanted a consultant's report, because she wanted to go pursue litigation against this roofer. And look, for anybody watching this, if they're doing that bad of work, odds are they don't have the funds to even litigate against, okay? They'll shut the doors down, open a new roofing company. It's a sad story. We've heard it a couple times. I've heard it several times. So they present this information to the other roofing company.
So if I'm going to be down here,
and while that other roofing company is trying to provide information back and kickback and say, no, we didn't, all this other stuff, a tree hit the side of her house and she files a claim against her insurance. And she's hopeless that it's actually going to go through the other contract. And the insurance company comes out and they write a small repair. So now we're in this conundrum of, what does the contractor do? What's the insurance company do? So we explained to the insurance company that this was installed over 2 layers, and we basically, the insurance company said, we're going to replace the whole roof, and they took over going after the contractor because we had such clear information that the roof was installed wrong. There was really no way to repair it because it was so bad. So the little piece that the insurance company had to write, they ended up writing a continuous repair, which ended up being the full roof. But they had other installation issues that took this burden off of this lady. And I had really good information that the insurance company could then go to the contractor and pursue their insurance company for that thing. So it was kind of one of those weird scenarios where everybody was involved, and it was just shitty work. Absolutely terrible, terrible work. And this lady, you know, when a customer hugs you and just thanks you, like, I would have never been able to do this without you, those are the days you don't forget in this industry. That you're like, I get chills thinking of it now. You're just like, look, I'll get up and do this every day if it makes moments like that for people in this industry. Like, the active service mindset needs to be captured. Like, people have to have it as they go through this. It's easy to get caught up in the hustle, the grind, the goals, that I need to do this, I need to write more, I need to sell more, I need to produce more, I need to install more. Man, don't miss those feel-good moments, because that active service should be inside of you when you're doing service-based industry.
I feel like that's one of the main things too that makes you like love the job. So that's the same thing when I got into roofing at first. What made me like love it is that at the end of the day, one, I'm real competitive. I like getting like sales, you know, so. But once I get the sale, the quality of life where someone actually appreciates what you're doing, you know, like thank you. And when you're like fixing their roof, especially if they had no means of getting it fixed and you're able to actually help them, that's the part that actually like makes you feel good. Like you want to go back to work.
Yeah,
it's not just about the money.
You know, I'm guessing you treat people like lifetime customers, right? And I think that's a mentality that's kind of missing in the roofing space. Is some people just get in this and they treat it transactionally and they stay transactional. And when you treat every customer like you're going to have a continuous relationship with them, they may need me 5-10 years down the road. They may move and buy another house. They may have these other things going on. That whole experience grows. It is much better for the homeowner, and you just have a much deeper enrichment in your job that you go through day to day, to the point where it almost doesn't feel like a job. Yeah, the byproduct's a good check, but you got to do this awesome thing to get that byproduct. That's really what it's like. At its purest, like that's when this job is great.
Love that. Juice. Okay, so again, we on the Roofers Gotta Eat. We're about to be getting the main entrees that's coming soon. What is your, you did, I know you said as far as for your wife, you don't eat a lot of red meat, so what do you usually eat as far as, so is that what you eat when you're, say, in the field or whatever?
Yeah, when I travel and I do these lunches and dinners, man, that's my steaks and beef and pork and stuff like that.
Got you.
She's a sport, like we cook it at home, but like at its core, my favorite foods are southern foods. So my family's from Louisiana. So I like the basic southern foods, man. Give me a crawfish boil, give me a low country boil, give me a shrimp boil, give me gumbo, give me jambalaya, give me an etouffee, give me boudin, give me all of that stuff. And see, the nice part about those, my wife will eat all that. That's all spicy, Cajun, seafood. That's all in her wheelhouse, with the exception of andouille sausage. Man, andouille sausage in the South, I like that. She's not gonna eat that. But that added, like, man, that southern food, that's my heart food. That's my soul food. I want that southern food when I eat. And we don't get a lot of that up in Indiana. That's why I like to travel to southern markets and eat some good southern food. you can find a good steak in almost any nice city or almost any state. You can find a good steak. But finding good, like, soul-cooked southern food,
that is harder. You're right.
That doesn't show up everywhere, man.
Okay, so as far as we do a lot of things with like kids and things like that, especially at the Roof Museum. And when people are getting into the industry,
shout out to the Roof Museum. Only thing of its kind, a place. It's a roofing place. Like, it's a place to memorialize different things in the roofing space, and they host a lot of fun events. And I know you do a lot of different events that are good for kids to come spend a day, learn, educate, see trades, see what those are. NTS is really proud to be a sponsor of the Roof Museum, so I don't want to overlook that. Like, big shout out to the Roof Museum. Continue.
So what I was saying, as far as
we do some kids over the Roof Museum at all.
And when they're getting into or they think about the roofing industry. How should they look as far as for discontinued shingles? When should they start that education portion?
I think that the easiest way to understand old products is to understand new products. You know, think of that. Somebody joining the industry now versus 15 years ago has so much more history to learn, because history is always growing, right? But today's picture, today's snapshot is a still shot. So if I go look at the still shot of what today's current products are, and I take a close look and deeply understand today's products, you can almost by just separation look at a product and be like, this looks very similar to something new, current that I know, or this doesn't look like the few brands that I know now. So it's got to be one of these old ones, because man, we've lost. I'm not lost, but Georgia Pacific got bought, GS, Globe, Silatex, John Mansville, that went to Owens Corning, right? Like, so many brands, Elk, right? So many brands got out of there. So I think there's 6, 7, 8 brands, and then within the current brands, there's product lines that are discontinued. Now you have hundreds of things you'd have to try and memorize. The easiest thing is that. Outside of that, I think the best thing somebody do, and yes, I'm a little selfish on this one, go to Name That Shingle Facebook group. And a lot of people don't know this. Facebook groups work like search engines. There's a little spyglass in the top corner. You hit that spyglass and you can search for things. So if maybe there's a shingle that you heard the name of and you want to search it in there, search that. Maybe there's a question you want to look at. Maybe you want to see some pictures of Certainty and Independence. You type that in there, you're going to see a bunch of posts with the pictures in there.
So guys,
that's a cheat code right there, right?
Yes, cheat code right there. Cheat code.
All right, so we got a camera swap.
And so we back to business. Rufus got to eat. We got the food. How's everything looking?
Dude, this Reuben, I mean, now it's both sides of it, but you know, I'm excited for it, that's for sure.
There we go, there we go. All right, so let's get back to it. If your sandwich was a shingle, what would you name it?
My sandwich was a shingle?
Yep, what would you name it?
Oh, man. This is where I don't get creative, is naming shingles. I was actually asked to potentially name a shingle this year.
Yeah?
I can't say who, but I was actually asked to potentially name a shingle. So
let's make the creative juices flow.
So, regardless, you know,
man,
he's one of those micromanagers.
Well, it'd be a triple layer, so it'd be a nice thick shingle, right?
Okay.
He does it all.
So
he does it all. Okay. So it's like that.
Deep forest shake.
I like that. Deep forest shake. Okay, okay.
First bites for you guys. So you feeling pretty good?
Real good.
So
On it.
and then also for Q.
That's fantastic.
That really was good. Okay. Alright, so we're gonna be eating a little bit of that food in our mouth, but
That's fine, dude.
that's roofer fashion, right?
Yeah, man. I'm pretty savage. I was a homeschooled kid. You know, I had 2 brothers, 2 sisters, family of 5. Just survival of the fittest at the table. You just had to eat your food and be done. So
Exactly.
all right, here I'll give you one on. Who's your favorite guest on here so far? Not me. No.
Well,
you can't say me.
Well,
we could bomb the rest of this thing. You can't say me. This is not over. I can make it, not me.
well,
Aside from this one, who's been the best? You know, who's been your favorite guest?
The Roofers Gotta Eat. This is a new segment. So, yeah. So we usually have our on the scoop. With the scoop, with the scoop, we have a lot of people on there.
Yep. So let's use that one as a reference.
Yes. Okay, it's gonna sound crazy, but I've heard they're all unique. They're all like different. So I have like a group of favorite people. You know. So, for instance, I like when I talk with like TJ McCormick, What's Good Roofer, when we talk about like social media and things like that, because he has like real like.
That's a good topic.
Yeah. So you know how like you pay attention to detail? He really pays attention to detail in that aspect. He knows everything, all the numbers, each platform. He recently just on Instagram just was able to monetize that too. So now he's the first roofer to have all platforms to be able to be monetized. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you know? I like Big Time, Best Damn Roofer.
Yeah, that's an entertaining, much different person to have on there.
Exactly. I like because when I came into roofing, I was trying to look for the best people, and then at first I saw like Bob the Builder. I always say that. And then, but after I seen like Big Time, like Best Damn Roofer, and what I thought was real cool was me trying to be like competitive and find like the Michael Jordan of roofing. I always thought like, hey, you might have your own sneakers. Like how Jordan has his own sneaker deal.
Yep.
Or you have your own, like I guess in roofing, your own tools.
Yep.
And with him, he actually had the thing with Prime Line Tools.
Yeah, he's worked in the creation of a couple of tools now.
Exactly.
I love that hammer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He has the hammer, he has the ripper, and he has a whole kit. And some of his items are in Home Depot. So as far as for rockstar status, that's like big big moves. In an industry where they don't really do those kind of things, and people don't really get highlighted for those kind of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like that. And we also had the mayor of Mableton. The mayor of Mableton, he came in. I feel like that was real cool. As far as having him on our platform too, just because that's something that's a little different as far as roofing goes with more the city, helps with like tourism and helps with our like mission, for our later goals. So yeah. So I think everyone has like their unique thing, because everyone's not specifically like, hey, you're coming, just building a roof. Everyone has their own departments.
Yeah, you didn't interview 10 people in the same position and roles, and then one stands out. Like everybody's got their own thing.
Exactly.
So.
It's like having a sports team. So you might be like, who's your favorite point guard? Who's your favorite shooting guard? Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
So you're my favorite shooting guard.
I'll take it. I'll take it, man.
With like seasoned roofers, because I know you have like say different audiences. Some that are like more newer, and some like you said, it's been doing roofing for 20 years.
Yep.
What are the usual questions that a seasoned roofer will ask you?
Seasoned roofers, more often than not, like to ask me questions about where things are going. They've done it 20 years, and they probably have a thought or idea of where they think it's going. And they want to know somebody. It's no secret I travel. I'm in front of a lot of companies in a lot of states. So seasoned roofers love to talk about what's going on in the industry and where it's going. So a couple of big topics that come up: private equity. They want to know good thing, bad thing, scary, not scary. And I think it's going to bring some good things to the industry. They want to know about insurance and what the restoration world is going to look like. There's no secret we keep getting storm after storm after storm. But conveniently today, as we sit, they just released the trying to remember the guy's name. Starts with an H. The whole interview with the client for Allstate, adjusters. The Senate committee just looked at Allstate closely and kind of how they're paying out catastrophic claims, and that just came out a couple days ago. There was just a lot of discussion about, have contractors taken it too far? Is the industry tightening up too much? Is the industry going to get tighter? Is insurance companies going to be harder to work with? Pay less and less and less? And those conversations come up a lot. And I reassure people, no, everything levels out. Everything has their leveling points. There's a balance and an ecosystem of things, and they may tip here and there. And we may feel like we're in a tipping point where insurance is really difficult. But that stuff levels out in time. So sometimes it takes a few rude awakenings, but that stuff levels out. So seasoned roofers love to talk about those kind of things. Where are we at now and where we're going?
Speaking of that, do you feel like, as far as where we're at now, because a lot of people say insurance has got tougher, but like you said, things are going to balance out. Do you feel like that allows people to add something to their arsenal, like more retail, things like that?
I do think people need to have a really good retail brand. If you're in the roofing space, you can't ignore repairs, you can't ignore retail roofs. You need to be building those systems.
You go too fast and it rolls back.
The people that are only surviving on storm and storm damage and storm claims, as a majority of the business, run the risk that there may not be a storm. And I also run the risk that policies may change, that coverages may change, that insurance could get tighter for a little bit longer before it gets better. So that model is essentially betting on the weather and betting on other parties. I'd rather bet on myself. So I want to make sure that if I have a roofing company, I've got really good retail models, retail sales programs, financing options, and things like that. I also want to try and be diverse. Do I have repair programs? Do I have maintenance programs? Do I have stuff to have residuals coming in on top of that? And I think that, that insurance kind of forces that. But I also truly believe that at the end of the day, while insurance is a big, big hairy gorilla, right? Big giant out there. So is the mortgage companies. The mortgage companies do want certain coverages on homes. So, that needle can only move so far before you start seeing that balance shift where the banks are, they may be like, you guys can't treat our properties like this. We need the following type of thing. So that's what I mean. There's balance. There's a lot of big players up at that top level. That stuff continues to work through.
I like that. That makes sense.
If it doesn't make sense, I'm okay if I'm wrong.
Now, do you have a roofing company as well?
No.
Okay.
No, it's actually one of those things that it's a very, very common misconception. People assume I own or previously owned a roofing company. I didn't. I had the pleasure through most of my career to work for really good companies in their growth phases. So I got to go in and be a sales manager or be a director or help build their program, be their trainer, and really facilitate in building those programs up, taking them from one benchmark to another benchmark. And that was a lot of fun. That means I got to work with teams. I got to grow teams. I got to monitor sales numbers. I got to be a part of that. I saw companies that really solid general contractor who went from general contractor, made roofing a separate division to the point where roofing was out revenuing the general contracting side. I got to see and be a part of that growth. I got to be a big part of that growth. It was a lot of fun. So that gave me a lot of diversity and experience with different companies. And it alleviated me the one thing that people don't know about me. It alleviated me from managing people, which I like people. I'm okay at managing people. But I see what some of these roofing companies owners go through, like, man, I can't get people to this, I can't. Whew, you start managing 20, 30, 40, 50 people.
Personalities. Yep.
I got to work with the people. And I did have to manage my sales teams and stuff like that. I got to work with the people, but I didn't have to manage the entire company. I love the company I own and manage now. My people at NTS are very, very good, very self-sufficient. It's a great ecosystem. It's a great culture. it just requires little to no management from me.
I like that.
Ryan handles all the tough stuff.
So let's talk about as far as for the industry with the new things that's going on, like with AI and things like that, and how it looks like with AI and the technology, it's taking over a lot of entry-level jobs and things like that. That's not necessarily needed. How do you feel with the roofing industry and with the roofing industry as a whole? So in general, there's people who perfected it, and as far as with the people part aspect of it,
Sure.
But as a whole, it's always that stigma where
It's still
the person who you hire, that's your competitor in 5 mile radius or something like that.
Yep.
So with AI into play now, things like that, how do you feel that affects the roofing culture and the workforce?
actually right to your last pick, lost pick.
I defer back to the tractor. You know, when a tractor was created and a tractor could complete more in a day than a farmer could complete, then 10 farmers could complete, then 100 farmers could complete, right? Farmers thought, we're doomed. We still needed farms. We just found a more efficient way to plant, harvest, prep, and everything, right? Well, what did we create when we did that? We have to build the tractor. We have to maintain the tractor. We have to service the tractor. We need fuel for the tractor. There's a lot of stuff that comes along with that. Was it a perfect balance? No. We leveled out in time. You know, we didn't just lose jobs and then stay at that same unemployment rate. Same thing will happen in any industry as it continues to innovate. And if it needs less people because technology is going to do it, someone still needs to build the technology, manage the technology, run the technology, service the technology, maintain the technology, update the technology, right? So I'm not saying that the person that was a salesperson is suddenly going to go back to school and be the one to do that. It definitely hurts that person that loses a role or a job with a roofing company and doesn't have the skill that can then go service, work on, create, or build the tech that took that job. So it does hurt. Like, it does hurt. But I think we find balance. And I think you got a choice. Embrace it or fight it. And I don't think any amount of fighting any roofer's going to do is going to get rid of it. So I highly encourage people to start finding ways to embrace it now. Get on the cutting edge of it. Get on the front end of it now instead of just resisting it.
Like that. Okay. As far as for advice to roofers that, because obviously you have plenty of roofing friends, plenty of people that look on your Facebook group,
right,
that look up to you on social media. So how can they elevate to be like you as far as in the roofing space?
Oh man.
One, as far as on social media, where you're not necessarily just a regular roofer.
Oh yeah.
Like you're actually somebody that's known and you know that's visibly seen.
Sure.
So how can they be like you in that aspect?
I think if you want to elevate in the social media space, you have to have, this is going to sound like a lot, but it's not really. You have to have consistency. This just means to start, you need to continue to get content out. Most people live in the world of fear or inconsistency. They're afraid to put content out, or they just don't put it out enough. It's never going to grow if you are in either one of those buckets. So consistency is one of them. There's all the simple bullshit everybody's going to tell you. Light, microphones, you know, like those type of things, like those make your videos better. But you could have the best light and the best mic. If you don't make eye contact with the camera, it's not that big a deal. If you don't speak very well in your videos, the mic is almost irrelevant. Like all we heard was you speak terribly better. Like that's not really what we want to do in that situation. So there's some really good influencers out there who say to use the 3-time rule, where you record yourself, then you listen to it, then you turn it on mute and you watch it, and then you listen and watch it. I think that's a really good idea. But I think you need to...
So can you say that one more time?
Oh yeah, so this is a common one. To practice your social media videos, record yourself, right? Then play it back, but play it back face down where you can't see it. Just listen. Listen to, did you talk too fast? Did you stumble over your words? Or were you really slow and you went through it and it didn't quite, you know? So listen to yourself, right? Then turn it on mute and watch yourself. Did your video look like this, or did your video have some facial expression to it? Did your hands enter the power zone while you were speaking? Were they in shot? Was there an object that you were holding in there? Is the camera looking up your nostrils, direct at your forehead, or is it straight onto your face? Like, just watch the video aesthetically and see what's going on. Then, after you've kind of analyzed both those pieces, listen and watch and see what it sounds like. But I highly encourage you to do some sort of voice or vocal exercises every day.
Can I take these plates on the way here?
No, of course you can. Tastes real good.
It's fantastic. Food was great. But do some sort of voice exercises. You have to be able to get your voice up and down in tone. A lot of people talk flat. So you get on social media and you're like, hey, this is, you know, this we've got a problem on this roof today. I'm John and I'm with this company and I want to show you what most homeowners go through. Doesn't sound good compared to, we got a problem on this roof today. I'm John, I'm with so-and-so roofing company. I want to show you what we're talking about. Because I moved all over from close proximity to the camera, voice range, inflections, tones, and everything. The more dynamic you can be in a video, the better. But here's where this advice really just gets easy. Find 3 to 5 people you like on social media that get good views and learn to do what they do. I'll give you a good pointer. Follow Vin Jang. It's a phenomenal public speaker, teaches companies on public speaking. You watch him for a good 30 days, you're going to learn everything about brow, facial expressions, facial muscles, tones, inflections, voice, volume, batoning. Believe me, there's nothing worse than watching somebody baton, which is moving their hands, and they're talking at this pace and they're batoning while they're talking, and the batoning doesn't mirror the speed at which they're talking, and it gets really annoying because you're like, what are they doing, right? But follow my man Vin Jang, but find 2 to 4 other people that you like and just try and just recreate their video. Just practicing what they do. If you can emulate that, then you're going to be able to turn around and create better content yourself.
What's your social media handle?
So follow John the Roof Pro, and you're going to watch some good videos because I pay for speaking coaches that have helped me with some of this stuff. Yes, I have a natural charm and charisma, okay? Like, there's a God-given talent, thank you. There's a God-given talent there, but I didn't stop at that. I've had coaches critique me, edit me, give me advice, give me input, watch video after video. But I literally had a guy send me a message last night. He was like, your content makes me inspired to go create content. And I was like, awesome, dude. He watches it to try and figure out how he wants to talk through things, what hooks he wants to use, and things of that nature. So follow good people. But yeah, John the Roof Pro with one exception. Facebook, since that's ancient, is John Cenac.
And what's the
it's
Facebook
ancient
group?
like me. And the Facebook group, Name That Shingle. Like, there's lots of good stuff in Name That Shingle. So
Love it. Okay, and looks like the food is gone, so we're almost be wrapping up.
nice.
So just as far as something to leave, you know, the audience with.
Oh, yeah.
One, we'll throw it out real quick. So, as far as top 3 shingle manufacturers in no order, I'll give you a little grace. In no order, top 3.
Top 3 shingle manufacturers
Best.
in no order. And no reason why they're the top 3 shingle manufacturers?
You can say why.
Well, I would say why.
Yeah, of course. You're a detailed guy, so we need the details.
I am going to give a shout out to Owens Corning for having the Sure Nail strip, because that created a lot of innovation for a lot of products that now have strips on the back of the shingles.
They were the first?
Duration was the first to put that nail strip on the front.
Okay.
And then a lot of other manufacturers started putting extra nail guards and strips. You know, there's other manufacturers that have them on the back of their shingles. Mm-hmm. So props to them for creating a technology that then got as close to duplicate as possible without infringing the patents. Mm-hmm. So I really think that was a smart move. That is a great hold on there. And a big shout out to Certainteed for the consistency in their product. Certainteed bought a lot of manufacturers, and they have had like the longest running laminate shingle in the Landmark for a long time. Like, good for them. Like, it hasn't changed sizes for a very long time. They've kept it to meet today's ASTM ratings and standards and win ratings and stuff like that, but a very, very consistent product. And I think I'm going to give Malarkey a shout out for really pushing and driving the class ratings in the market. I think they forced everybody to up their game. Right, when Malarkey said all of our shingles are class rated, class 3 and class 4 rated, everybody came to the table, was like, no, we've got one too, we've got a class 3, we've got this. And don't get me wrong, the insurance industries were pushing for that to happen anyway, right? But I think that they really kind of forced everybody to elevate their game. So like, that was a unique thing at its time that kind of shook things up when it was being pushed for. So it's not my favorite shingle. People get confused by that. But they did something in the industry that was very, very unique.
Different.
Yeah, that was just, they drove something. So there's definitely people who have done class ratings better than Malarkey. Like, that has happened. But they drove that bus, man. It was wild.
Okay. What's the most recent new innovation in the roofing that you think is taking over? So, like how you mentioned the shoreline, the shore nail strip. What's something that's like the newest innovation right now, 2025 roofing, that you think is kind of taking over?
Specific to shingles? We probably should keep in the shingle world. I mean, I'm the shingle guy.
Shingles, yes.
God, you're gonna hate my answer. Nothing. Asphalt's asphalt, and they constantly have to meet the ratings.
Well, you said asphalt, but there's the rubber shingles.
So there is a lot of technology
synthetic.
That's entering the market. The problem is price, right? Like, if those can start getting lower on price, but the average consumer doesn't realize that what they're increasing in price, they're also increasing in sustainability and durability. You're getting other benefits for that product that you don't get with asphalt. They're just less frequent. Asphalt is low cost, affordable for the consumer. So there's not a ton of innovation in that. I will say that the IHBS is really driving, and the insurance carriers are really driving the need for them to perform better in wind, perform better to hail, perform better to external forces and debris, stuff like that. So yes, in the past 5 years, we've seen a lot of advancements, increases in the fibers in the mat, impact-resistant mats that are more resistant to anything that's an external force. So we've kind of really, we're in it right now where they're going through a lot of technology changes. Again, 5 years ago, Sure-Nail was the only one that had a nail guard.
Yeah.
Now you got the Dynasty has it on the backside, the Titan has it on the backside. You're starting to see all these nail guards added. So we're kind of in decent, innovative things that are going on right now. And look, there's manufacturers right now trying to create hail-proof shingles instead of impact-resistant. There's manufacturers trying to create hurricane-resistant, 180-mile-an-hour wind-resistant shingles. That's sealant technology, right? So there's a lot of stuff that is being tested right now, going on behind the scenes, to make those products more sustainable. So I'm excited to see where the next 2 years are going to go, more so than where we're at now. Because frankly, it's not too cutting edge right now. We had a lot of changes in nailers, nail zones, nail strips, limited lifetime warranties, and impact resistance, and we're in those changes right now.
We're in it.
Yeah.
Understood. Okay, so we're about to close out right now. We're with John Scenic, John the Roof Pro. Again, what's his social media handles?
Everything is John the Roof Pro, except for Facebook. Facebook is John Senac, S-E-N-A-C, not Cena. Dun, 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 dun. I know the arms are very similar, but not the same. We're not related at all. So,
what do we see coming next? Where do we see you next?
You're gonna see a big fall class launch. You've seen those classes before. We actually held off on some of the spring classes, and we're gonna come big. We're coming big with systems we're testing now and things we're creating now, inspection methods we're using now, strategies and estimating things we're using now that we're going to roll out this fall. We're working on scripted AIs that will talk more like roofing. We're working on imaging and various different things in this space. I've got a lot of irons in the fire right now, and I cannot wait to bring hopefully all of them to the market by the end of 2025. We're for sure bringing one of them, but we may have all of them to the market by the end of 2025.
Hey,
as you can see, I go all in. The hidden message behind there is I'm actually a data geek. Like, I love data, you know, so like
It's not hidden.
that's what I want. I want the stats, I want the data. So, you know, we want more information from the industry. So I want to create things that are going to get the industry more information and continue. It's cyclical. It's getting it to me and I'm getting it back out to the industry. So
Got it.
yeah, that's what I'm looking to do, man.
So basically, as far as the innovation, the real answer was he's creating it over here. So
Yeah.
hopefully at the end of 2025, we're gonna get some new innovations from again John Scenic, John the Roof Pro, Hall of Famer from at the Roof Museum. He just got inducted recently.
Yep.
And thank you again.
Thank you very much. My sign off to everybody is always remember this. Time is your most valuable currency. Opportunity cost is your greatest expense. Be mindful of the opportunities you miss. That's an opportunity cost. And be very cautious of your time because it's a savings account. You have no clue what's in it. And some people spend it haphazardly. Spend it wisely. Be 100% in the moment, y'all.
Hey, just be 100% in the moment. And this is another episode of Roofers Gotta Eat, but a roofer should never
Go hungry?
go hungry. Hey, you love it. Hey, there we go.